The moment you lose your power. Think back to the last time someone's words struck a nerve. Perhaps it was a sarcastic remark, a passive-aggressive jab, or an outright insult. No matter what it was, it probably hit you harder than you expected. Before you knew it, your heart rate was racing, your breath quickened, and your mind exploded with thoughts of defense, retaliation, or anger. You were swept away by emotion, reacting without a second thought. But in that very moment, you handed over your power. You gave control of your emotional state to someone else, someone who didn't even realize the impact they had on you. What if you didn't have to give away your power anymore? What if you could learn to stay calm, centered, and unshaken no matter what life throws your way? What if, instead of being a slave to your emotions, you could control them, commanding your responses like a master of your own mind? This is not some far-off ideal. This is something you can achieve. And today, we're going to explore how to do just that, because emotional reactions are not signs of strength. They're weaknesses. They enslave you to external forces, pulling you around like a puppet on strings. But there's a way to break free. And in doing so, you unlock the kind of inner strength that only a few will ever know. Part 2. The trap of emotional reactions. To understand why emotional reactions are a weakness, we need to start with a basic truth about how our minds work. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "If someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation." Let that sink in. When you feel hurt, angry, or defensive, it's not the words or actions of others that are truly the source of your pain. It's how your mind interprets those actions. Think about it. Two people can receive the same insult, but one is consumed by it, while the other brushes it off without a second thought. The only difference is how they choose to respond. This is where true strength lies, not in the situation, but in how you decide to react. Most people think that showing anger or defending themselves in the heat of the moment is a mark of strength. They believe that standing their ground means they're asserting their power. But in reality, the moment you react impulsively to provocation, you've already lost. You've given someone else control over your emotions, pulling you into their energy. In this way, emotional reactions are a form of self-surrender. When someone provokes you and you respond without thinking, you're dancing to their tune. But there is another way, the way of those who are truly powerful. Part 3. Mastery of the Mind. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers and the Emperor of Rome, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Even though he ruled over an empire filled with political intrigue, betrayals, and constant upheaval, Marcus knew that true power wasn't in controlling others. It was in controlling himself, and so it is with you. When you master your own mind, you become unshakable. You are no longer a slave to external circumstances or emotional triggers. You take back the reins of your life. But how do you get there? Why do we react emotionally in the first place? The answer lies in how our brains are wired. Part 4. The science behind emotional reactions. When we feel threatened, whether it's a physical danger or an emotional attack, our amygdala, the part of our brain responsible for processing emotions, takes over. This is called an amygdala hijack. In prehistoric times, this survival mechanism helped our ancestors react quickly to danger. But in modern life, it often triggers unnecessary emotional responses. Think back to a time when you encountered a rude comment online or in person. Your brain perceived it as an attack. Before you even had a chance to think logically, your emotions took over and you wanted to lash out. This is the amygdala hijacking your rational mind, convincing you that immediate action is necessary. But what if you didn't react? What if you paused before responding? This pause, no matter how brief, is where your strength lies. The ability to control the space between stimulus and response is what separates the weak from the strong. The weak react without thinking. Strong choose their response. Part 5. True strength lies in composure. This is why some of the most disciplined and powerful individuals in history are known for their ability to remain calm under pressure. Take Nelson Mandela as an example. He spent 27 years in prison, subjected to unimaginable cruelty. Yet when he was finally released, he didn't let anger or vengeance drive his actions. Instead, he remained calm, strategic, and composed. That's real power. And here's the hard truth. Most people will never achieve this level of mastery because they never question their own impulses. They believe that emotions are something they must act upon that. Feeling anger means they must express it. That feeling disrespected means they must retaliate. But this belief traps them in an endless cycle of emotional turmoil. They are slaves to their feelings. True strength comes from breaking free of that cycle, from recognizing that you are not your emotions, you are the observer of them. Part 6. You are not your emotions, you see. Most people think that their emotional reactions are an automatic part of who they are. They believe that when they feel something, be it anger, frustration, or embarrassment, that it's a reflection of their true selves. But this is an illusion. You are not your emotions. You are the observer of your emotions. When anger rises inside of you, take a moment to step back. Notice how your body tenses, how your breathing quickens, and how your mind rushes with thoughts. But also notice this. You can observe it all. You are not the anger itself. You are simply experiencing it. And the moment you realize this, everything changes. Because anything you can observe, you can control. This concept isn't new. It's deeply rooted in ancient philosophy. The Stoics, for example, trained themselves to separate their thoughts from reality. They believed that it wasn't events that disturbed them, but their judgments about those events. That's why Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Today, I escaped from anxiety," or no, I discarded it, because it was within me, in my own perceptions, not outside. Think about that for a second. Anxiety, anger, frustration, they don't come from external forces. They come from within you. And if they exist inside of you, then you have the power to change them. Part 7. Cognitive reframing. Changing your response, this realization leads to a powerful technique known as cognitive reframing. It's a psychological practice that teaches you to question your first emotional reaction instead of accepting it as truth. Let's say someone insults you. Your immediate reaction might be anger or hurt. But instead of reacting impulsively, you pause. You ask yourself, why does this bother me? Does this person's opinion really define me? What if I choose to interpret this differently? By questioning your thoughts in this way, you begin to break the automatic cycle of emotional reaction. You create a space between stimulus and response, and in that space, you reclaim your power. This is exactly what the most disciplined minds throughout history have mastered. Viktor Frankl, a man who survived the horrors of Nazi concentration camps, once said, "The last of the human freedoms is to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances." This was his secret. Between stimulus and response, there is a space, and that space is your power to choose how you respond. And in your response lies your growth and freedom. Part 8. The power of choice. This brings us to an essential truth. You always have a choice in how you respond. Imagine you're in a heated argument. The natural instinct is to raise your voice, defend yourself, and prove your point. But instead of reacting, you pause. You take a deep breath. You observe the situation from a higher perspective. Suddenly, you realize that responding with anger only feeds the other person's power over you, so you choose not to react. And just like that, you shift the dynamic. You gain control, not by fighting back, but by choosing to remain unmoved. This is the essence of true power. It's not about reacting less. It's about not reacting at all. And this is what separates the truly powerful from the easily manipulated. Throughout history, some of the greatest leaders were known for their ability to remain composed, no matter the circumstances. They weren't controlled by their emotions. They controlled their emotions. And if you want to master this skill, it's going to take practice. Part 9. Practicing emotional control daily, you must train yourself. Every single day to recognize when you are about to react and consciously choose a different path. At first, it may seem difficult. You might catch yourself getting angry or defensive in moments where you didn't expect it. But the more you practice, the stronger you become. So here's a challenge for you. For the next 24 hours, pay close attention to your emotional reactions. Every time you feel anger, frustration, or offense, stop. Take a deep breath. Ask yourself, is this reaction serving me? Is it making me stronger or weaker? Most people go through their entire lives without ever questioning their emotional reactions. But once you start to question them, you'll begin to see the world differently. You'll realize that most of the emotional outbursts, the arguments, and the conflicts you experience are entirely unnecessary. And once you stop engaging in them, you'll free yourself from the endless cycle of emotional turmoil. Part 10. The real key to emotional mastery. But here's the real key to mastering your emotions. It's about learning how to replace those reactions with something more powerful. This is where the true shift happens. Most people go through life feeling at the mercy of their emotions. They think that anger, frustration, and irritation are automatic, uncontrollable responses. But the truth is, every reaction is a choice. If you don't master the ability to choose your response, someone else will always have control over you. Think about it. How often have you allowed a single comment, a single look, or a single event to ruin your entire day? How often have you replayed a conversation in your mind, feeling anger or embarrassment long after it ended? This isn't strength. This is emotional slavery. True power comes not from reacting, but from remaining unmoved. It comes from becoming the kind of person who can't be easily provoked, manipulated, or controlled. Part 11. Premeditatio malorum. Preparing for the worst now. How do you get there? One of the most powerful methods comes from ancient Stoicism. Stoics practice something called premeditatio malorum, which translates to the premeditation of evils. Instead of waiting for negative situations to happen and then trying to control their reactions, the Stoics prepared their minds in advance. They would imagine themselves facing criticism, insults, or loss, and instead of reacting emotionally, they would visualize themselves remaining calm, unaffected, and in control. By doing this repeatedly, they trained their minds to respond with strength in real-life situations. Imagine applying this in your own life. Every morning, mentally prepare yourself for the day. You might face disrespect. You might face negativity. But you will not let it control you. You will walk into every situation with clarity and composure, ready to face whatever comes your way. Part 12. Reprogramming your mindset. This practice, rooted in ancient wisdom, is backed by modern psychology as well. Studies show that when we visualize ourselves handling a challenging situation with calmness and confidence, we are far more likely to respond that way when the moment actually arrives. But there's something even more powerful than visualization. It's reprogramming the way you see challenges altogether. Most people view difficult situations as personal attacks, threats, or injustices. But what if you viewed them differently? What if every time someone tried to provoke you, you saw it as an opportunity to prove your strength? Instead of feeling insulted, you would feel indifferent. Instead of getting angry, you would become amused. You would begin to see the world not as something that happens to you, but as something you navigate with complete control. Part 13. Seeing through the provocations. And here's something else to consider. The people who try to provoke you are often the weakest ones in the room. Truly powerful individuals don't waste their time trying to bring others down. It's only those who feel powerless themselves who seek to manipulate, insult, or provoke reactions from others. When you realize this, you stop taking things personally. You stop seeing negative people as enemies and start seeing them for what they really are: individuals who have no control over their own emotions, desperately trying to control yours. And once you see that, their words and actions lose all power over you. This is why some of the greatest minds in history, like Mahatma Gandhi and Bruce Lee, refused to be provoked. They understood that true mastery in life isn't about reacting it. It's about choosing not to react at all. Part 14. The path to true power. Imagine this. You are walking through life with a mind that is utterly clear, calm, and unaffected by the chaos around you. You walk into a room, and no matter the situation, you remain untouched. You face adversity without the slightest shift in your inner state. No insult, no disrespect, no provocation has the power to rattle you. Now that is true power. Not the power to force your way through life, not the power to dominate others, but the quiet strength that comes from inner peace and emotional resilience. The truth is, this level of mastery is not something many people will ever reach. But that doesn't mean it's out of your reach. It's a process. journey that starts with understanding one profound truth. You can outgrow your emotional reactions entirely. Part 15. Detaching from the ego. How do you reach this level of mastery? The answer lies in detaching from your ego. The root of most emotional reactions stems from the ego, the self-image, the sense of who we think we are. When someone insults you, what are they really attacking? Not your body, not your mind. They're attacking your self-image, your ego. But the truth is, your ego is an illusion. It's nothing more than a collection of ideas, labels, and narratives you've built about yourself over time. When you realize this, something incredible happens. You stop identifying with the ego. Stop seeing yourself as your title, your job, your reputation. And when you stop identifying with the ego, nothing can touch you. You no longer feel insulted, because the insult is not aimed at who you truly are. You no longer feel disrespected because there is nothing to disrespect. You are beyond those reactions. State. The state of no mind. This concept is beautifully captured in Zen philosophy. The Zen master Takuan Soho once said, "The ignorant mind, with its infinite afflictions, passions, and evils, is rooted in the three poisons: greed, anger, and delusion. To relinquish these is to attain the state of no mind." The state of no mind is a state where you are no longer controlled by your emotions, your thoughts, or your ego. You are simply present, clear, and unaffected. You have transcended the need to react to life, because you realize that life is not something that happens to you, it's something you navigate with complete control. Imagine this: walking through life with no need to react, no need to defend yourself, no need to prove anything. You are simply existing, centered, calm, and unshakable. The ultimate truth of emotional mastery. This is the final level of emotional mastery, not just reacting less, but reaching a state where reactions no longer arise at all. What if you could live in a way where insults don't even register as offensive? Where negativity doesn't affect your internal peace? Where anger simply doesn't arise in the first place? This is true emotional freedom. This is true power. And the way to achieve this is through detachment from your ego, the realization that you are not your thoughts, not your feelings, not your identity. You are the observer of all these things. You are the silent witness to your thoughts, and in that space of awareness, you find your true strength. Part 18, the end of emotional slavery. So now, ask yourself, will you continue to live like most people, easily provoked, easily offended, constantly caught in the grip of your emotions? Or will you choose a different path? A path where your emotions no longer control you. A path where you have the power to remain calm and composed, no matter the situation. A path where nothing and no one can disturb your inner peace. Each choice is yours. And the moment you make that choice, you will begin to see the world in an entirely new light. You will no longer be at the mercy of external events. You will no longer let someone else's words ruin your day. You will be free, and this freedom will become the foundation of your strength, the kind that no one can take from you. Part 19. The final shift. There's one final, transformative shift that will elevate everything we've discussed today. It's the realization that true emotional mastery isn't just about not reacting it. It's about transcending the need to react altogether. When you reach this level, you are no longer influenced by the world around you. You are no longer driven by external circumstances. You have become the master of your own internal world. This is where the real power lies, not in controlling what others do, but in choosing how you respond, whether you respond at all. Imagine the freedom that comes with not being emotionally controlled by anything or anyone. That is the ultimate form of strength. Part 20. Conclusion. A new path. So, take a deep breath. Reflect on the power that lies within you to shape your reactions, to choose your emotional state, and to free yourself from the chains of emotional slavery. You are not a prisoner of your emotions. You are the master of them. And when you realize that, you'll understand that true freedom isn't about controlling others, but about controlling yourself. This is the path to emotional mastery, the path to inner peace, and the path to true strength. Will you walk it?